Payne Man.
This is Payne Nation with Charles Payne.
One of the fundamental challenges of our time is building an economy where everyone gets a fair shot, everybody does their fair share, and everybody plays by the same set of rules. And as many Americans rush to file their taxes this weekend, it's worth pointing out that we've got a tax system that doesn't always uphold the principle of everybody doing their part. Now, this is not just about fairness. This is also about growth. It's about being able to make the investments we need to strengthen our economy and create jobs.
That, of course, President Barack Obama, and this, of course, Payne Nation. There you have the president sort of taking two lanes to try to sell this buffer rule. One lane, the fairness lane, and then the other lane, the idea that it does have some real economic, it's a positive economic policy, and that could help us grow the economy. I think he's playing that part less and less, and I think he's really, for the most part, come out and said, okay, 47 billion versus 67 billion or whatever the number is versus 7 trillion over a 10-year period is the proverbial drop in a bucket. So this is really only about fairness. This is only about social justice. This is only maybe the moral thing to do as a country. Helping us to understand it all, Fox News contributor and president of the Center for Jewish Learning and Leadership, Brad Hirschfield. Brad, welcome back to the show.
Good to be with you, Charles.
All right, I think the president really, especially last week, especially at the college, he's laid it out pretty thick, pretty heavy. Forget about economics. This has nothing to do with economics. I'm not going to try to fool you anymore, but this is fair. This is the right thing to do. Make the rich pay more.
So here's the thing. First of all, the president's going to turn fairness into a dirty word. And it's really a shame because actually everyone, I think, on both sides of this wants to be fair. And he's flogging this word in a way that isn't helpful. It's not that I think he's making it up. I believe that he believes what he's saying. But I also believe that people who disagree with him are also committed to fairness. So everyone uses a word, in this case the president, that he knows. People go, oh, yes, I believe in fairness because Americans are good people. We believe in fairness, whatever our politics are, so you can build a lot of support. And then you say to people, well, is this fair? You ask for the break, is it moral for the rich to pay more? I may surprise you. I'm going to say, yes, it is. And they do. See, that's the thing. It is moral to ask the rich to pay more. The rich do pay more. We're talking across purposes here.
Right.
You've got people on the left saying the rich should pay more because it's the moral thing to do. You've got people on the right saying we are paying more. Right. And they're not lying. They are paying much more than our people with less money. The left comes back and says, well, you pay more because you have more. Both sides are right. And that's actually why, even though I think it's really laudable that you want to take economics out of it, we have to put economics back into it and stop beating each other up with words like what's fair and what's not fair and talking across purposes and actually be honest. Because assuming that both sides want the economy to grow and want all people to fare better, rather than using buzzwords that have emotional appeal, let's actually do the economics and ask which will make things better for more people in this country. Not try and pull people's heartstrings, but actually ask what's best for our purse strings.
Pull their heartstrings, or sometimes the opposite of that, push their envy strings, their jealousy strings, which I think often resonate more than the other route. But having said that, a lot of so-called rich people, because we're actually talking about households of 200,000, 250,000, not necessarily a lot of money in most metropolitan areas. Right. A lot of people are saying, I can deal with the taxes as they are now if my money was being spent wisely.
100%.
GSA summit. This thing is like a nightmare, an absolute nightmare, where these government workers were making videos, rap videos, bragging about the fact that, hey, we've got all of this taxpayer money at our disposal.
You are so right. This is about trust. The tax issue is about trust. Size of government issues are about trust. Americans are fundamentally generous, and I think that you're right. The president plays a kind of class warfare game because people are angry, but they're angry because they don't trust the government itself. And that's the real issue. If we could build back up trust, my guess is even people who are opposed to more taxes would be willing to pay a little bit more because they would say, I'm investing in institutions that will not waste and squander and spend my money cavalierly and foolishly. The GSA comes along and hands a colossal victory to anyone who needs indication of why we ought not fully trust government institutions to steward our money well. That's why if you watch what's going on in Colombia, right? We have two big scandals this week, right? Secret Service down in Colombia. It's a great story. And I don't want to minimize what it means for those Secret Service agents to have betrayed their code of conduct, to have potentially engaged in behavior, but it's only potential, which could have compromised the security of the president, but it didn't. So what they did, as bad as it is fundamentally a betrayal of public image. What the GSA did was betray the public trust at a moment when trust in public institutions has never been lower. They're not even similar. They are both bad, but the events of the GSA are so much worse and so much more far-reaching, it's unbelievable.
Worse? And you have both of them are sent to government workers. In fact, one, you have the life of the president in your hands. You're sleeping with a prostitute, you had a few drinks. You may say something like, tomorrow we're worried about Sector 8. No one's covering it.
I agree with you. And if it emerges that they divulged information that any of the prostitutes were foreign agents, that they left schedules or itineraries in clear view, then I would move the betrayal of public opinion or of public image into the betrayal of public trust column. But until we know that, the one thing we can be certain of is that a small group of people took millions of taxpayer dollars and cavalierly spent them because they felt they could. They lost sight of the fact that they were spending other people's money, that they were working for the American people, that they were actually actively undermining any ability to trust government institutions at precisely the moment that public employees need to build that trust the most.
We're speaking with Brad Hirschfield, Fox News contributor, president of the Jewish Center for Learning and Leadership. Okay, we've got the GSA, we've got the Colombia Secret Service, military. I mean, it's all to your point. I mean, two gigantic scandals in 1 week. Does it point to a bigger problem, a larger problem? You and I have talked about this. It feels like morality, accountability in America has fallen off a cliff.
There's a problem, and the issue is we have to change the culture. We clearly have to punish the people who did the wrong thing, right? That's already beginning at GSA. There will be an investigation at Secret Service and the Department of Defense, and there should be. But you're asking the right question, because this isn't about punishing a few wrongdoers. This is about changing the culture and asking people who work in the public sector especially to be acutely aware of who they work for. They don't work for their supervisor. They don't work for their agency. They work for you and me.
Brad, is it just government workers? And if this message is to go through, who makes this message?
Start with yourself and ask yourself every day 2 questions. Am I adding value to my workplace? And am I building trust with the people I interact with? If you're doing those 2 things and you start with yourself, you're going to have coworkers who learn from you. You'll have bosses who respect you. You'll have people you supervise who will trust you. And that's how it happens. It starts from the inside out, those same 2 questions. Am I adding value wherever I work? And do I understand I'm not just here to do a job, but to serve the people who put me in this position?
I don't know. Listen, I hope there's some sort of big time epiphany where everyone starts to think that way. Brad Hirschfield, thanks a lot. Up next, John Paul DeJoria. He is an American dream personified. Wait until you hear his story next.